Hello, today we have lesson 2 from our first unit. So video number 2, we're going to get into actually adding and subtracting decimals. Yesterday we talked about place value and the difference between a digit and place value. And today we're going to use that information and refresh our brains on how to add and subtract decimals. And in order to do that, we're going to start by looking at how would you model it? Meaning, how would you use those manipulatives that we looked at yesterday to represent how we would add decimals? So if we look right here, you will see that we have what was our manipulatives from yesterday lined out for us. So we have our whole block. That was the big blue one that we had yesterday. This represents 1. Then we had those long skinny orange ones. This represents 1/10. And then we had the little teeny tiny green squares, and that represented 100ths. So with that, we are going to keep this kind of diagram in mind as we go ahead and show our decimals. So here's how we would model the sum of 1 and 1500ths plus 9500ths. We've got our 1, this is our whole number. We have 1/10, and then we have 5 hundredths. Over here, we don't have any whole numbers. There's no big blue block, but we do have 9 of these tenths strips and 5 of the 100th strips. So when we would go ahead and add these together, we need to combine what is alike. So we can see that we would only have one of the whole unit blocks. Let's go on to our next slide here and we'll see them put it together. They put all the blue ones together. So we have a whole number here. We have one of these. Then they grouped all of the orange tenths together, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. And then when we looked, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the hundredths as well. So we have 1 of these, 10 of these, and 10 of these. So like it says up here, we want to combine them so they're all together. And then once we do that, then we can complete a table like this. That's kind of what we did by just writing underneath it. I personally don't put a table up like this, but you saw me write it underneath there. When we go back here, this is kind of my version of that table. I just wrote it under there. And so when we do that, we can see, oh, remember yesterday we talked about how 10 of these would equal 1 of these? So we just converted that to what looks like a blue block now. And we also know that 10 hundredths is the same thing as 1/10. So now we could represent our answer by putting 2 of the whole number blocks out there and 1/10. So when we have 1 and 15 hundredths plus 95 hundredths, we get 2 and 1/10. So let's go on to our next problem. Here we have 3 addition problems. Simple addition problems with small decimals that we can easily use our base 10 blocks, our manipulatives that we've had the last couple of days. So let's go ahead and try this first one out. We have 2.1, and I'm not going to draw in all the grids, but here's my 2 whole numbers, and then I have 0.1. I'll even switch colors for you here. Here is my 10th, that's the 0.1 part, 1/10. And then I have, on the other side, I have 9/10. So I'm going to add 1, 2, I'll try and go kind of quickly, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when we look at this part right here represents my 2.1, and this part right here represents my 0.9. Now, when I go ahead and group them together like we did in the first example, this is how I'm going to group them. How many of the whole numbers do I have? I have 2 of the whole numbers. And then how many tenths do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 2 whole numbers plus 10 tenths. Ooh, remember when I have 10 of these, that's the same thing as 1 of those. So what I would end up doing is converting these. I would say I have 2 blocks here, and this is the same thing as a third block. So it's going to equal 3.0, or just plain 3. All right, well, that certainly works, and I urge you to continue drawing it out if this is something that is not coming easy to you. But some of you are ready to move on and just start using the numbers and not the manipulatives. And so we're going to practice that just a little bit. So when we look, we're going to take our second problem here, 1.5 plus 0.8. In order to do that, I'm going to erase what I have here real quick to clean it up. And so what we're going to do, instead of writing out our base 10 blocks, or drawing it out, I guess it would be, we're going to write it vertically. I take 1.5 and I'm going to add it to 0.8. When we add decimals here, the key is to remember to line up your decimal points. We want them right above each other, and to be very careful with keeping our columns nice and neat. Same goes for subtraction as well. We want to always line up the decimal. So other than that, we're going to add them like we've learned how to with whole numbers. So when we add 5 plus 8, we get 13. We need to remember that these are tenths though, right? So 5 tenths plus 8 tenths gives us 13 tenths. We know with a base 10 system that the 10 tenths are going to convert to a whole number. So we're going to put that over here as the whole number, and we're going to leave the 3 tenths down here. So instead of 13 tenths, we've got 3 tenths, and those 10 tenths we converted and added as a 1 over here. So now we've got 1 whole plus another whole plus 0 gives us 2. And in addition and subtraction, we bring that decimal straight down. So the answer when we add 1 and 5 tenths plus 8 tenths equals 2 and 3 tenths. So I want you to go ahead and try number 3 on your own. It doesn't matter to me if you want to draw it out like we did with the manipulatives, or if you want to do it vertically like this. But I want you to try number 3 on your own, and I will check it in class tomorrow. Let's keep going on. All right, here they're doing the exact same thing. They're changing it to a vertical problem, but they're still showing it as done with manipulatives. This is our whole number. They've kind of changed it because we have 3 place values after the decimal. So we've got 1 whole, then we have 3 tenths, and then we have 9 hundredths, and we have 4 thousandths, 6 tenths, 3 hundredths, and 5 thousandths. So again, they're going to want you to combine the like ones. So this is going to combine with this. Then if we keep it separated here, we've got this would combine with this, and then we can combine this with this. It's not the most clear, quite honestly. I find this a little bit more confusing once they switch this to a block, but that's what their visual is representing here. This is still the only one. These 2 we would combine, these 2 we would combine, these 2 we would combine. But me, I'm just going to go ahead and go over here and know that when I add 4 thousandths plus 5 thousandths, I get 9 thousandths. That's exactly what I get here. And here I've got 5 blocks and 4 blocks to get 9. Remember, it's not till we have 10 or more that we have to combine it into the next one up. So I'm just going to go over here. I've got 9 hundredths plus 3 hundredths would give me 12 of these. I don't want 12. I'm going to take the 10 and convert it over here to tenths. And the 2 100ths I'm going to leave right here. So once I've left the 2 here, I'm going to go into my tenths and I'm going to add 1 tenth plus 3 tenths plus 6 tenths. That gives me 10 tenths. Remember, anytime we have 10, we get to convert it to the one above. So I don't have any tenths left over, but I need to put a 0 in there. I have to hold that tenths position. So I put the 0 here, and the 10 tenths I converted to a 1. So now I add 1 whole plus 1 whole to get 2 whole numbers. So when I add 1 and 394 thousandths plus 635 thousandths, I get 2 and 29 thousandths. That's my answer. So we have 1 slide left. We have 2 questions here. We'll do the first one here quickly together. And again, I'm going to do it vertically because it's a little faster. But if you still need to draw it out or want to draw it out, you certainly can. I need to rewrite this vertically, so I have 2 and 76 thousandths plus 847 thousandths. Remember, we need to line up the decimal points, so I got my decimals right on top of each other. I've got 3 columns going on here. So I'm going to start at the end. I'm going to start with the thousandths, and I add 6 thousandths plus 7 thousandths, which gives me 13 thousandths. Remember, anytime we're over 10, we need to put what's left over down here. I have 3 thousandths left over, and that 10 gets added up here. So 10 thousandths becomes 1 hundredth here. So we have 1 hundredth plus 7 hundredths plus 11, or I'm jumping ahead of myself, plus 4 hundredths. 4 plus 7 is 11, plus 1 is 12 hundredths. Again, anything over 10 becomes here. So that 10 I'm going to convert. The 2 that I have left I'm going to leave down here. So now I have 1 tenth plus 0 tenths plus 8 tenths for a total of 9 tenths. Only at 10 do we have to convert. I'm not up to 10 yet, so I'm going to leave it right here. My decimal comes straight down. 2 plus 0 equals 2, so my answer is 2 and 923 thousandths. All right, I'm going to have you do this last one on your own. We're going to check it in class tomorrow, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please write them down so you remember to ask them in class. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.